Hello, I'm back. Have you missed me? Sure you haven't. Okay, so it's been a bit chaotic, but I managed to get this set filmed yesterday. This is my lovely client Jess. She is a biter and a picker, and if she loses one nail, she will just pull the others off. So normally I would sculpt on her, but because she's got some damage to her natural nails, I have agreed to put her some tips on, all but a lot shorter than she normally has. But she wanted this beautiful blue hue. It's got to be my favourite blue colour from CJP at the minute. It's just beautiful. It's literally cornflower blue. So we have applied Tracy Lou's tapered square tips. I have prepped and primed her nails. I have applied the thin clear base layer. I haven't primed her nails because I don't use primer. I have dehydrated her nails. I am again using my size 10 Tracy Lou brush. I don't know why. I love the size 12. I used it a lot. And then just this week, I've literally just been grabbing the 10 and I've just been sticking to the 10. Don't know why, my personal preference. Why have a really big brush if you don't need one? And I don't, so I'm not going to. So we are doing this blue hue set. She got this picture from either Instagram or Google. I'm not sure which, no name, so I can't credit. But it had some beautiful butterflies in. So I'm using these butterflies that I got from just trying to think off the top of my head. I'm cooking tea while I'm doing this as well, so I'm a little bit distracted. I got these from the Glitter Fairy, I think. Pretty sure I got them from the Glitter Fairy. And I'm also using iridescent stars, which I got from Smiley's Glitter Store. So she's having a mix of the two. So I have laid a bead of Birthday Suit on that nail bed area and just feathered it down to that free edge just to hide where the free edge is. And we are then just picking up those butterflies. Now I tip larger bits like this out onto my tissue. I just find it easier to pick up small amounts because you don't want massive clumps of it on this design. We want to be able to see through to that tip as well. So that's what I do. You get plenty in your pots. So you could scoop them back up and put them back in the pots. I don't, I just screw them up in the tissue. But I do leave this piece down and put a fresh piece over the top of it before I do the other hand, so that I don't waste too many. So she's having the same design on that index finger. Coming in with that first bead, we're going to tap it in nice and neat. I'm not worrying about the bottom of that bead, I'm letting it run down, and then we just fade it down. Nice and simple. And then my second bead is my cuticle bead. Working very hard at keeping my nails as neat and tidy as I can. Once I've got that birthday suit where I want it, just come in with my cuticle bead and then do the same again. And I'm just doing these two fingers first because that way the glitter is out of the way and they're setting then. I'm not even using clear acrylic to pick these up, by the way. I'm literally just placing them on top of the nude acrylic because it's wet. So I'm just using my wet brush to pick them up and just place them straight on and just give them a minute to set because they will set. So if I do that, I know that bit's done and I can just concentrate on the flat colour, which is helpful. So just picking those up with my wet brush, as you can see. So an update on the house situation. So as you all know, I've had a lot going on. As father-in-law is in hospital and we'll be having quadruple heart bypass surgery on Monday, so that's pretty serious. So the story with the house, we found a house that we loved. It had an extension that I could make into a little home salon. It was perfect, it was in the area, right price, da-da-da. We put our house on the market because the sellers needed a quick sell, and we just weren't quick enough. Bizarrely, our house sold in 6 days, which was a complete shock, which meant we then had no house to move into. I can safely say now we have found a house. However, it is not in the same area, and it's actually outside the city, but I love it. It does, however, have a lovely, it was originally a conservatory, it's a brick built conservatory, but they have plasterboarded and insulated the roof, so it doesn't have a glass roof. It's going to be amazing. So it's going to do exactly what I need, and it's going to give me a proper space to work from at home. Can't wait. But obviously, got a lot going on. So son is still going around in his splint because he can't have anything done till he has his MRI scan. Father-in-law in hospital for his surgery. We've sold our house. We've bought another house. That paperwork's being done. We've had the back door fixed for the new owners. And it's just a waiting game now, really. So been a little bit too busy to do videos, but I've managed to get this one in. So hopefully now we've got the worst bit out of the way. The rest of it can be done around my clients. So probably a half empty house and boxes everywhere, but it's fine. So this blue, it's called Blue Hue from CJP. It's not blue, it's not lilac, it's in between. So it reminds me of cornflower blue. It's just beautiful and it's gorgeous to work with. Really, really nice to work with. So for me, I've been focusing on my application, which I've been doing for a long time. My cuticle application is getting much better. I'm also concentrating on shaping the acrylic with my brush so that I don't have to file. We don't like filing. Nobody likes filing. The clients don't like it. Techs don't like it. Nobody enjoys filing. So lay the acrylic like you don't have a file, you will have less to do, and then it's a case of refining, not shaping. Does that make sense? Hope it does. So for me, that's what I've been working on, and for me, a size 10 brush does that, or this particular size 10 brush. I have used Tracy Lou's tapered square tips, and I have tapered them in. So here's a little tip if you are using tips. Get the joke? I cut my tips narrower than I want the nail to be. If you do that, it gives you a little bit of room for when you've put your design on, because it will bulk them out a little bit. Every layer you add on will bulk them out. So that is my tip, because then by the time you put your acrylic on, they're a bit wider. And then any adjustments are purely done with your file at the end. I have left all the filing in. I haven't zoomed into each individual nail. I've left my normal filing routine, but I have sped it up. But at the end, I have put in a picture of the nails before I file them. Or actually, not at the end, it's in the middle. So after this bit, all three of the other fingers are this colour. So there's nothing to explain there. But I have left in a picture of the unfiled nails so that you can see how close I'm getting that application before I even touch them with a file. Yeah, I might be a bit on the slower side, but do you know what? It's worth it. Can you see that little dark spot in there? I think it's a little bit of glitter. So I dig that out in a minute, make a right hash of it, but I dig it out, it's fine. I find slow, steady, controlled stroking of the product. There you go. Let's get that twatty bit of glitter out. Can't call it anything else after watching Liz Guild call it that. The first time she ever did, I was crying with laughter. So it's always, and ever more will be, that twatty bit of glitter. Can't remember what I was saying now. Anyway, yeah, just pattern and pressing. I find these controlled movements much easier for me. This is the way that I work. And if you've been in a while, you will know that we all work differently. We all have our own methods. None of them are right or wrong, unless you're doing something that's dangerous, you know, e-filing a natural nail bed with a 100 grit sanding band on full speed, etc. You know, application and stuff, as long as you're not hurting anyone, it doesn't really matter. You know, work how it works for you. And I think that's where a lot of us go wrong. I do it. I watch all these amazing nail techs. For example, my thing about getting the acrylic on the end of the tip, they bring it down, they have the excess, they cut it off with their brush and it just comes away. And mine doesn't. I squidge it, it goes under the frickin' tip, it gets stuck under there, I have to get an e-file bit to get it out again. It doesn't work for me, so I don't do it. You know, I don't have to do it that way. It's just that we attain to do things. You know, you might be sitting there thinking, well, I can't do it the way that you do that, and that's fine, absolutely fine. But it might work, and that's how I've learned, by trying, by giving it a go, and if it doesn't work, move on, find a different way. So that's my advice for today. Moving on to that thumb. So first bead goes halfway down, tap tap round the top just to get it against that nail. Let the product fall. And then we can swipe it down and start pulling it down towards that tip. And I come in with another bead. Just want to get that coverage down towards that tip area. So again, just letting it fall. Swipe down, nice and easy. I'm actually starting to like thumbs a bit more. I still don't photograph them. They're really hard to get a picture of. But I am starting to like them a bit more. They're getting a bit easier. So next bead goes in towards that cuticle. Tap, tap, tap. You can see that I'm using the point of my brush and we're just getting that between the side walls and the nail, and then we're blending that in, just smoothing it out. It's not quite right yet, so we're going to come in with another bead. With all of the blue I am capping as I normally would. I just find it easy when I'm doing flat colours to do it that way. So this bead goes on at the tip and we're going to fade it back just to make sure we've got the thickness and the strength at the tip. And then a smallish wet bead at the cuticle to tidy that up a bit and just to make sure we've got that opaque look that we want. Blend it down. Lovely. I'll then come and cap that thumb as well. And you can see as I'm twisting the thumb, you can see now why we twist the nails, the fingers. It's not just because we're showing off. It is so that you can see that thumb from every angle. You will be able to see dips and hollows and if the apex is in the wrong place. And that's why we do it. You just check it out from every angle to make sure you've got everything where you need it to be. So then going on and capping these. So I'm not too concerned about getting the acrylic right up near that nail bed. Birthday Suit is a strength powder. You don't necessarily have to cap it. But I just feather it up towards there just so we don't get a harsh join line. Nice wet bead of acrylic, because we don't want any bubbles either. And then I'm just using my brush to shape it, just to push those sides in so it's not too wide. We don't want any muffin top nails. And then checking out from the different angles to make sure I've got everything where I need it to be. And if I need to add more, you will notice that this is her bent finger. Both of her ring fingers, her nails are bent. I tend to correct it when I'm shaping, so. So same on this one, I'm just wetting those stars and butterflies before I lay my clear acrylic. It just helps it slide down, keeps it going smooth. You can see how wet that bead is. It literally just falls down that whole nail. And then all I'm doing, letting it fall, let it fall, and then neaten it up as it's setting. Make sure you keep wiping your brush if you're working this wet, because that acrylic will set in your brush if you don't. It was a tad too wet, but it's workable, it's fine, it's manageable. If that had happened a year or so ago, I wouldn't have managed quite so well, I wouldn't have coped quite so well. But you know, I've improved since then. So once we've got all that acrylic on and I'm happy with the shape, I go back and I check every single nail to make sure there's no dips, there's no hollows, there's no bits missing. It's very easy to miss stuff if you don't go back and check, so I always do. And we will then move on. So there should be a picture coming up. Oh no, just going to add a little bit more on there. Obviously wasn't happy with where the apex was. And here is the unfiled nails. So as you can see, they're pretty neat. It is literally refining that shape. Not a lot of work at all. Lovely. So we then move on to filing. And it is my usual, so let's repeat it. As always, sidewalls, free edge, cuticle, cuticle, sides of the nail, and then the barrel of the nail. Always the same. And it's doing this consistently over and over and over again that is getting my shape into where it is. If you don't have a set filing routine and you just pick your nail up and file it any old way, you will get different shapes, you will get different widths, you will get different filing sides. You know, you've got to keep it the same, because if you don't, your nails will not look uniform, and that is where the problems come in. So get into a habit of doing it. Check out Kirsty Meakin's Nail Nails tutorials on filing, because that's where I learnt it from. Check out Tracy Lou for her filing tips. Check out Liz Guild, Kylie Werry. There's loads of people that you can follow that will give you this information and show you how to do it. It's exactly how I learned, and it's paying off. And especially in the last week or so, I've done a lot of simpler sets in the last sort of 2 or 3 weeks. Not that that's a bad thing, because you can't hide anything. It's very easy to hide technique behind glitters, 3D, you know, painted nail art. When you're doing these simpler sets, you can see there that I actually caught her skin with the file. So obviously I'm going to throw the file away and the buffer. She's got very, very dry cuticles, but it's usually because her hands are in her mouth. So we're just straightening up that ring finger. As I said, this is the one that's a bit crooked. So I just file more from one side than I do the other until it straightens it up somewhat. And once I've filed all 4 fingers, I then flip her hand around and file from that angle, because then you can get the ends dead straight, you can get the sidewalls. If you can see the nails from the same angle that your client does, you will see the same things. That's the best way to correct it. So I'm flipping between 2 files. I've got a newer file, and then I've got this older one that I'm using for around the cuticles. And then a buffer. And the buffer really just helps you get that nice flush cuticle. It's a lot easier to do it with a buffer than it is to do it with a nail file, or for me anyway. So newer file to get those straight edges, sidewalls, free edge, and I keep repeating that until I'm happy. If I file one side, I file the other, and I just keep repeating until I'm done. Then I will move on to the cuticle. Obviously this is sped up, so don't be fooled into thinking I am Wonder Woman when I'm filing. And all the time I'm checking from every angle, from the side, down the barrel of the nail. You're checking that structure, you're checking how that nail looks. And I think on this one, I actually complained at one point because it was taking me forever to file out a ridge that I had. So you'll see me keep going back to it. And it's purely because I've got the acrylic thicker on one side than the other. Simple as that. So I'm just filing it out. Just filing it over. So thank you for all your comments, etc. As always, they're very welcome. Honestly, don't know sometimes how I'd have got through the last sort of couple of weeks without some of you guys, because it has been a bit bloody crazy. But like all of you, working mum, you know, got a family, work around it. You get through, don't you? You just manage. So in a second, you will see me flip the fingers round. It probably won't be in shot for all of it, but you'll get the general idea. Tracy Lou has got a much better one on her, so look for Tracy Lou's nails. Liz's acrylic nails, they're the people that you need to be watching. Kirsty Meakin, of course. Kylie Werry. There's quite a few actually that I follow. Loving Kerry Anderson's work at the minute as well. And it's going to be a challenge for me moving, because I'm going to have to, I don't think I'll lose too many. I have a lot of clients that drive, but I will be entering a new area for me. But I'm not the sort of person to go bombarding. There we go, just flip them around and then file them for that angle. It's a little bit awkward to do, but it does give you a better effect. Yeah, I don't usually advertise, but I will, you know, I will notify that I'm in that area now and just see what happens. I don't think I'll miss out too much because I am fairly busy. Might do mobile just to keep some of my more regular clients that don't drive, as long as it's like school hours. As long as it works for me, as long as it's cost effective for me, I'll do it. But at the minute, just looking forward to getting moved. So just filing that thumb. Once we have filed that thumb, I will then come in with a cotton pad and some acetone. I will use that to clean away all of the dust, smooth the nail over, make sure there's nothing on there. I then top coat with CJP's tack-free top gloss, as always. And the only time I don't use tack-free top gloss is if I'm doing gel polish, because I use Halo's no wipe top coat when I'm using Halo gel polish. And Halo is my preferred brand of gel polish, to be honest. It's a very, very nice one. Obviously, we'd stop to talk about something at this point. I could have just cut this bit out. I didn't. Apologies. So anyway, I'll leave you to watch the rest of the video. I'm going to go and just tidy up after doing tea, and then I'm chilling out to watch some TV. So I'll be back very soon, hopefully, guys. See you all later. Bye-bye.